Welcome to Look Movie Recaps. Today we are recapping a 2018 action movie by Scott Adkins. Keep spoilers alert. We start with an experienced hitman renowned for making his targets look accidental. He is sitting patiently waiting for one of his targets. When he arrives, he tricks him into climbing a chair and hangs a rope in his neck. He makes it look like suicide by hanging. The hitman is Fallon. After his hit, he decides to go to the bar to get rid of the tension. When he reaches the bar, he sees guys harassing a lady. He intervenes and starts beating them. He punches the first guy and he falls down. Breaks the other guy's arm and kicks him to fall down. Another one comes and he knocks him out. He beats up all of them. And he moves out of the bar. And he goes to a pub where fellow hitmen gather for business. Mike introduces us to his fellows. This is Carnage Cliff, who is known as the Brutal One. Uses an axe to butcher his targets. Meet Poison Pete, who uses poison to eliminate his targets. Also meet Meek and Mac, who are ex-special forces. They specialize in making high-profile hits look like street crime. Meet Jane the Ripper, who grew up in Japan and was trained by a professional swordsman. She eliminates her targets using her sword. Here is Finicky Fred. He is an inventor. He is always coming up with new ways of taking out his targets. Big Ray is a retired assassin and he is the boss. Finally, meet Milton, who assigns hits to the team basing on their specialty, according to what the client needs. Mike is given another job by Milton of a satanic mechanic band who will be performing tonight, and later he is reminded of the accountant job that he hasn't finished yet. Mike tells him if he wants the job to be done quickly, he can hand it to Cliff, but if they want it legit then they should wait. Milton tells him that he will double the price if he gets it done. The next day, Mike gets on with the accountant job. He gets a strategic position holding a gas-powered rifle, waiting for the right car to come with the right speed and right angle, and the car arrives. He shoots its tire and it goes to knock and squeeze the accountant on the wall. After his hit, he goes back at home. While he is working out, he keeps seeing visions of his ex-girlfriend Beth, with whom they had recently broken up, and he is unable to let the visions go. She left him and she is now dating a fellow woman. Later that night, Mike goes to complete his new assignment of the satanic mechanic band. He pours water and electricity and they are all electrified to death. After, Mike goes to pick his payment as planned with Milton, but on reaching, an amateur assassin is sent to kill him. He shoots at him with an automatic rifle, but Mike moves behind the car that serves as his bullet blocking barrier. He then jumps and kicks him off his bike and he engages him one-on-one while lecturing him. He kills him and makes it look like a bike accident. He finds out that it was Milton who wanted him dead. He drives off the scene and goes back home. While sleeping, he gets a phone call from Charlie, Beth's girlfriend. She tells him that their flat was broken into, and Beth was killed. Charlie told him that Beth would want him to know. The next day, he goes to attend Beth's funeral, and later meets with Charlie, and she tells him that Beth was pregnant and it was Mike's child. Mike was so intrigued by this. Back home, Mike is trying to fathom Beth's death and could not believe that it was a normal death, as Charlie said. Later, Mike manages to get a police file of Beth's death. He then goes to the crime scene. He learns that she was just assassinated and that her death was a targeted professional attack. Looking closer to the crime scene, he further notices that it was Meek and Mac that carried out the assassination. He rushes to go find them. On reaching, they admitted to killing Beth, and furious Mike starts fighting both of them fearlessly. He hits one and then hits the other. They are giving him a challenge. Mock holds him and Meek starts hitting him rigorously, but he is not giving up. He later is able to beat them all and breaks Mac's jaw, and they surrender. Mike now needs to find out who ordered Beth's death and why. Only Milton can tell him that. He reaches Big Ray's pub where they all usually gather looking for Milton, but doesn't find him. They have a chat with Big Ray, who tells him to control himself and remember the rules that govern their firm. Ray tells him to stop his outburst or he will kill him. Mike takes us back to when he first met Big Ray when he was 15 years old. Mike's life was messed. A group of kids constantly bullied him because he was weak and vulnerable. One day, while he was hiding from the bullies, he saw a man breaking into a house, and then got out. Shortly the house was set on fire. He followed this individual for a while, where he witnessed him kill people for a living. One day he gathered the courage and went knocked on his door. He came out. Mike tells him that he knows what he does and he shows him footage of him killing people. He tells him to teach him. After seeing the footage, he pulls Mike inside and starts asking him questions. Mike doesn't have answers to all of them, but all he knows is he wants to kill his bullies, and doesn't want to get caught. Big Ray accepts to train him. Big Ray starts training Mike. He is able to kill the leader of his bullies using a technique called defenestration taught to him by Big Ray. Over the next few years, he continued to teach him everything he needed to know about his dark art of his murder methods. He became the best of his version. Mike now is as sharp as iron. He rides to Charlie's flat to gather more information about what Beth was working on before she was killed. Mike tells Charlie that Beth was professionally assassinated. Charlie doesn't believe in what Mike is telling him. She tells him to go to the police. He tells her that Beth might have put her nose where it didn't belong and this time they hit back. Charlie still doesn't believe in Mike's theory. They end up arguing about who mattered more in Beth's life and Charlie ends up punching Mike. While still in their argument, Cliff enters Charlie's flat with his axe in hand. He engages Mike in a combat fight. He starts to want to axe them. Cliff appears to be quite strong and willing to kill everyone. Charlie is saved by Mike from Cliff's axe. He keeps avoiding Cliff's axes. Charlie stabs Cliff as she approaches from behind. He is so powerful. It appears that Charlie did nothing stabbing him. Mike is now his opponent. He must find a means to get rid of him. He shoves him in the back and he trips over his own axe. Cliff tells Mike that he had not come for him but rather Charlie. She is so threatened and thrilled after learning that Cliff came for her, not Mike. He asks her to tell him all she knows about what Beth was up to. So thrilled, Charlie starts telling Mike that she was looking into an oil company that wanted to drill in the North Sea. She tells Mike that's all she knows, but Beth always backed up her computer on her dad's hard drive. Mike tells her to go hide at Beth's parents and get the backed up information and then tell Mike. He warns her not to go to the police. He rides to go find Milton. He finds him and beats the guy that was massaging him and then he starts to interrogate him. Milton tells him not to break the rules, but Mike is so determined to know the truth. He hits him and he passes out. While Milton is out, one guy comes in to stop him but Mike knocks him out so quickly. He comes back to Milton, tortures him until he mentions a name, Kent Leonard, and asks him where to find him. When he tells him, he knocks him out. While he is leaving, the other guy awakens. He engages in a combat fight with him and beats him up. Later Charlie calls Mike telling him that he has got the information from the hard drive and they plan to meet. Back in Big Ray's pub, all the assassins are gathered and are given a collective mission of killing Mike because he has gone bizarre and he is a loose cannon. Later Mike meets with Charlie in the bus. He asks her what she found out. Charlie tells him that Beth was investigating about the Indian Petroleum Company that was initially denied the rights to drill oil, but after it bribed some government officials, the right to drill were granted to the company. Beth had an inside man, Archie Rudd, who was feeding her information of the government officials involved in the mess but suddenly stopped when they were planning to go public. Mike remembers the name Archie Rudd, the accountant he assassinated. Charlie went ahead and mentioned Leonard Kent as a partner in the same firm where Archie Rudd worked. The same name Milton mentioned as his contact. Charlie hands him the hard drive with full information and tells him to kill everyone involved in Beth's death. They part ways. Later, Mike goes to Kent's office. He finds him on a phone call. He asks him who ordered the assassination of Beth. Kent asks how Mike knows his name. He tells him the name of his wife and kids to show him he knows him even better. Kent is still hesitant to tell Mike what he needs to know. He lifts him and attempts throwing him out of the window. Kent starts talking everything. He tells Mike that their director found out that someone was leaking information of government officials to Beth and had Kent contact someone to eliminate him. Later he also ordered the assassination of Beth. He recorded the conversation on a tape and Mike found out that it was Milton Kent was talking to in the recording. Milton suggested a suitable assassin to do the job. Just at this moment, Meek and Mac come with blazing firearms directed to them. Kent is short and Mike flips the table to shield him from the gunfire. They decide to grenade him, but he kicks the grenade in a volley style back to them. Immediately after it explodes, he comes out and engages them in round 2. Kicks both of them. Meek holds his automatic rifle to gun at Mike, but he shot his partner Mac instead and he dies. Meek is so furious. He faces Mike and opens fire at him. After he is out of bullets, he faces him in a combat fight. Meek hits Mike with anger. When Mike falls down, he holds an extinguisher and sprays at Meek and then hits him with the cylinder several times until he kills him. When moving out, he meets Poison Pete, who jumps at him and tries to poison him but is not able to. Mike stabs him with his own knife and kicks him to fall down and he dies. When Mike is coming down the ladders, he meets Fred, also wanting to kill him. Mike punches him and he passes out. He continues his way to the director of the Indian Petroleum Company. He meets the director, who was protected by Jane the Ripper, who was sent by Big Ray. She engages Mike into a combat fight. Hell, she's good, but Mike is unmatched. He defeats her in a combat fight and the director throws the sword to her. Mike steals her sword and he stabs her with her own sword and he kills her. Mike then faces the Indian director. He tries to bribe him with lots of money, but Mike chops off his head. He then heads to the pub. He meets Milton and Big Ray there. He plays the recording he got from Kent where they all learned that Kent hired Milton to assassinate 3 people. The accountant, Beth and Charlie. with terms of a single assassin's carrying out all the hits. And later the assassin also be killed to cover their traces. After knowing that, Big Ray is so furious. He beats up Milton and bruises him, then later Mike passes him the poison bandage he got from Fred and he uses it unknowingly and he dies. Big Ray is angry at Mike for wiping out all his hitmen. He tells him to leave his pub and never to come back. Thank you for watching. If you new, please subscribe for more of such recaps. Have a great day.